Time to expand our horizons, to expand our knowledge, to expand our experiences, and in certain cases to expand our wastes as well. It's time to go travel right here on Mansfield Today.
And it's a travel day here on Mansfield Today, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of interesting things, especially about an area that I really love and have every intention of moving to in the not too distant future. So I'm going to find out more information about this from Sean McCarthy from White Star Cruises and Travel. Welcome to the show again.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie. Yeah, good. Nice to see you.
Now, before we started recording, we're sitting, and I love Southeast Asia. Okay, I think it is probably one of the best places to go. But the thing is where to go, because there's so many amazing places that we can visit. But where would you, I mean, for you, you love Thailand.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, so I've got an attraction to Thailand, and I've been there, and I've got a reason to go there. But, you know, I think one of the beauties about Southeast Asia for South Africans to travel is the fact that you don't need a visa for the majority of the destinations. And also, there's always that perception that it is a more reasonable destination from a budget point of view. But I think one of the ways to find the area that you want to go, if you want to go on a holiday and spend an extended amount of time there, is to actually do a cruise. Because for me, it gives you an opportunity to get on, for example, in Singapore, and then to actually go and do a couple of ports, whether it be Vietnam, whether it be Thailand, whether it be Singapore, whether it be Bali, whether it be Indonesia. And it gives you an idea of what you like. Because, you know, for example, Bali is quite a cultural destination, whereas Thailand has got beautiful beaches, but a little bit more of a party destination. But at the same time, if you want to, you can do the Buddhas, you can do the temples, that kind of thing. So it gives you an idea of what to look for and what you like if you want to go back and enjoy a longer holiday. So for example, for me, I loved Phuket for whatever reason, and I go there now on holiday with my family for a month at a time, kind of thing. But I know what I'm looking for, so you know, it's great.
Don't you just hate him? So how would it work then? I mean, would you sail out of Singapore? And I mean, how long is it? Because I know that it doesn't seem like there are quite big differences in distance between the places. But how long would it take, say, to go from Singapore to Thailand, or from Singapore to? Can you go to Cambodia?
Yeah, so it just depends. It just depends on the cruise that you book. I mean, you know, and the cruise ship. So, you know, from a cruising point of view, you can take a big ship which carries sort of 5,000 passengers, or you can take a smaller ship like one of the ones that we represent, Seabourn, for example, which takes 650 passengers. So the difference there is the ports of call that the ships can get into. Obviously, the bigger ships will need to go to your sort of bigger harbors because that's what they need. And it boils down to people being able to get off the ship as well. You know, you've got 5,000 people trying to get off a ship. Obviously, they can't all just rush off at the same time. Whereas the smaller ships can go to smaller ports of call and easier to get on and off. Okay. But again, it takes a little bit of research, depending on where you think you'd like to go. You always have main sort of departure ports. So, for example, Singapore would be one, Hong Kong would be one, Bangkok would be one. And again, it just depends on the cruise line, the country origin of the cruise line. So you have Cunard, which is British, you have Royal Caribbean, which would be very American orientated. Norwegian Cruise Lines obviously speaks for itself. So, yeah, and that's, again, it depends on the feel that you want of the cruise and the cruise ship and the luxury that you want. So you can do anything from a 3-star ship right up to sort of a Seabourn or Silver Seas, which is 6-star, which is all-inclusive, smaller ports, that type of thing. So it takes a little bit of research depending on the ship, but also depending on the destinations. And most of those destinations that you talk about are covered somewhere along the line, especially in that Southeast Asia part of the world.
So what would you suggest to somebody to do? I mean, from your point of view, with like if you were going to put it together, because I'm sitting here and I'm saying, well, I mean, I do know about Southeast Asia, but most people, if they haven't been, they have no idea. So they come to you and they say, Sean, I need you to put something together for me. This is what I want to do.
So again, like I said, you've got to have some sort of an idea of the destination that you want.
I want to go everywhere. I want to see each place so I know where to go back to.
Then what you do is, my suggestion, okay, especially now post-COVID travel and regulations around flights and things like that, and that's another conversation we'll have, but is to actually go and sit with a travel agent who that's what they're trained to do. They are constantly trained on cruise product, the cruise lines, where they go, what they do, and go and sit and plan that holiday with them. All right, it takes the hassle out of it, and they can tell you if you're wanting to do Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Singapore, a bit of Bali, then that's your cruise line to do. Whereas, if you're wanting to do more on the Japan side, you want to go a little bit further north, Japan, Korea, that part of the world, that's the cruise line.
So you can cruise to there as well?
Yeah, of course
I
you
always think
can.
of cruises as always being to islands and things like that.
Yeah, so and there are different ways of doing it. You can do your cruise where you've got a daily stop. I mean, you talk about distances between the destinations. So generally, what would happen? You cruise at night, and during the day you would spend it at a whichever port of call it may be, and you do your day excursions. So, whether you're just going to walk around the town or you actually book a specific excursion to go and see something, you can do that. Or alternatively, there are a lot of cruise lines now that do what they call a world cruise. So a world cruise is generally about a 3-month cruise, okay?
Who's got time to do that?
But what happens is you can do sectors within that. So, for example, you could book on a world cruise on the Queen Mary 2, you could book Japan to Alaska. And that would be 28 days, depending, and you would have obviously a number of stops, including whether it be Hawaii or whatever it may be, to get to Alaska. The same sort of thing where the part of the world cruise would be in the east, so you could end up doing Hong Kong, Singapore, down to Sri Lanka, Seychelles, Bali, all those type of things, which sometimes are different to the destinations where you have your daily visits.
So if you were going to do a little stop on, stop off like thing just in Southeast Asia, for instance, let's take that. How much time would you need to set aside for that?
To me, to get, generally what will happen is you look anywhere but sort of 7 days would be the minimum, and the cruise companies would sell a 7-day cruise. Or 14 days. So you would do 7 and 7, okay? And to me, as South Africans, if we're going to Southeast Asia, the flights are a cost. Your hotel accommodation either way, and I think if you could do 14 days, that's a really good holiday. Yeah, and you get to see a lot of the area that you're cruising.
And where would you suggest starting off from? I mean, you as a person, I mean, I would fly to Phuket because the flights are cheaper to go to Phuket than anywhere else.
Yeah, not necessarily, because I mean, Phuket's obviously popular as a beach destination, and it's not necessarily a starting point for a cruise. Phuket would be more one of the stops that you would do. So to me, if I was going to cruise, I think an iconic city like a Singapore or Hong Kong is a nice way to start, because it's always great to get there and have 2 or 3 days in that city. And that's part of the holiday, and then get onto the ship and do your cruise.
Okay. So those are the things. If you want to do it and you don't know where to go, get on a hop on, hop off. I mean, I've been cruising. I went on the Achille Laura from Cape Town.
That's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago. The Achille Laura all the way through to Portugal, which was fantastic, and then also around the Greek islands for quite a few months. But I would love to be able to do Southeast Asia. And I mean, having been there, I cannot stress enough, if you want to travel, that is for me the place to go. Don't even bother with going anywhere else. And we will be talking next week about the problems involved with traveling these days, especially if you want to go to places that aren't in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, and I think it's not so much problems. I think where we've got to now is post-COVID, we need to plan a little bit better. Things like visas and air tickets. People will see that generally air tickets are a little bit more expensive now because you don't have the capacity on airlines and things like that. So it just takes a little bit more planning and a little bit more help.
Fantastic. And we're going to catch up with you again to talk about that.
Look forward to it.
And of course, as you said, we've said it before, we're saying it again. Use a travel agent. You will save yourself so much hassle. Not so.
100%.
Excellent. We'll catch you again next week with more travel. But of course, don't forget to tune in again tomorrow for more Mansfield Today.